I first would like to start out with this video with my new sponsor, Titan Fuel Tanks. When they said they're going to sponsor me, they said I didn't need to do a video or anything like that. I just need to post on social media once every 90 days about how cool they are. This video is going to explain a little bit about how much I love them. They put I had a 32-gallon tank in here, which that could be questionable. Usable is about 26 to 28 gallons. This Titan tank is actually a 52-gallon tank, which, if I'm not pulling anything, it can go 800 miles. It works out really well. Like if you're, for example, if you're going through California, you can fill up right on before California, go in, pick up whatever you need on the edge of the coast, come back. I mean, that is like you're saving $1.50 a gallon just by doing that. So eventually you will pay for it with the amount of money you save, but they don't like to focus on that. But I love Titan tanks, and let's start out the video. All right, this is just a side note of the four-wheel drive actuator of the 3/4 ton Chev. This is a Dana 60, I believe, Super 60 of the Dodge actuator, and they look identical. So that's kind of interesting. I was thinking the IFS four-wheel drive of the Chev may be different. If you plan on working on any S10 and upgrading your steering components, whether it be a 3/4 ton tie rod, pitman arm, anything like that, putting hydro assist, I highly recommend you watch this video long before you even start your project. I like to show you everything that I've come up with and the decisions that I've made and how I've switched things up. I have various different ideas that I'll talk about right now. Like this one right here. If you have a 3/4 ton Duramax, unleaded, if you want to do some tractor pulls, whatever, you can do four-wheel drive a lot. This is an excellent upgrade to the stock components. You can see here, it is right and left threads. You have a spot to put your wrench to help with your toe in, toe out alignment. And this is how it works. Your bolt here will bolt directly onto the existing center link, and then you have your links here on the ends, your heim joints, spacers, your right and left, and then this tapered end goes directly inside your stock 3/4 ton, or if you use a 3/4 ton spindle in your S10 build. This is what works really well. The company builds it is Cognito. They do like a nice lift. This took a little bit, like probably about 2 months to get after I ordered it, because they were on back order, the whole COVID thing. This is the setup, and what I was going to do is buy this, cut this, widen it, because I made my long arms longer, or my A arms longer, and then weld it. But this always bothered me. Look how small that is. I mean, this is a 9/16 bolt, grade 8. I mean, I do realize this is a stainless and probably can handle the same weight as that, but it's just 1 point. And I've seen some, like the new Bronco, for example. If you've been watching Light Bright Nation, they had a Bronco against the Jeep, and they used grade 8 bolts bolting through a heim, and after every obstacle they said they'd break a joint, break a bolt. And so I decided to scrap this whole idea, and after talking with Ballistic Fab, we came up with this. Okay, when you look at the pipes, these are going to be for my tie rods. I mean, that is absolutely huge. Let's see if I can pull this up together. That's the different upgrade. I mean, it is absolutely massive. And I can cut them the way I want. I have these ends, left and right threads that I'll just tie in here. Oh, that's for the... That one's bunged up on the edge. There you go. I'll be cutting this off. I needed to make sure that I realize that. Okay, so here, this is where I'll weld. It's all tapered, and then I'll have left and right hand threads and screw these heim joints in. And he was telling me that the heim joints, that they're finding that a lot of them are breaking themselves, the joint itself. And so I was looking at their heim joints. You can see how big this one is compared to the heim joints that were sent. I mean, they are larger, and that's one reason why I decided to go with them, or with Ballistic Fab. And if you look at the, let's pull this apart. I just told them the dimension of inside to inside, and they gave me the misalignment spacers to go right in. And this will be my new link. Well, it does fit, I promise. So the Ballistic Fab heim joints fits right in here with their misalignment spacers. I gave them the distance, and then they got the whole setup for me. They walked it through me on the phone. And then the other side is actually very impressive. It is the 7 here. Grab it. The other side is even more impressive. This is 7/8. So 7/8 neck down with a misalignment spacer to 3/4. And that's going to be onto my spindle. So that one's a lot larger than that. I mean, you can see those two different sizes. And I will show you how this is going to be set up. And then this will be the spindle side. This is a 3/4 of an inch bolt. You can see that there. The threads are high here, but that's okay. I'm going to be cutting them off. I just wanted that space with no threads to be where I'm going to cut some 1/4 inch sheet metal that's going to go around to here, and I'm going to weld it on this side and this side so that there'll be a double point for my steering, and I believe that that will hold over jumps and bumps and everything that the off-road is doing. And let me show you what happens on the other side. So when you put in a 5/8 bolt, you can kind of see the gap right there. And if I just I thought about using a 5/8 bolt all the way through and then just have the one point. I mean, it's not going to be as strong. It'll be some flopping around. So I decided to drill it out, and what I used is this puppy. I've drilled so much with different types of drill bits, and these are the bomb. I mean, the last notch here is 3/4, and I just started it here, and I just drilled straight through and then came in from the bottom, and then they met up, and it worked out really well. So I'll drill this out to a 3/4 inch to accept that bolt, and then both sides will have a 3/4 inch bolt, and then I'll weld that once again 1/2 inch piece of metal across here. So I'll have two points to help hold that 3/4 inch bolt, so it won't be less likely to break. Next, let's look at this center link. So we'll start from one end and I'll go all the way across. This is that bolt that came with that kit. It goes in here, and that's how it's going to bolt on my tie rod on the center link. But one thing that I did notice that when here's the stock 3/4 ton tie rod. If you see how much threads are showing, and then these threads, see that space? That piece of metal is, I don't know, maybe like 3/16 thick. And so I'm going to have to shave this down maybe another 3/16 or so, or an 1/8, so that when it does tighten up, or put a washer there, it'll hold that bracket tight. So that's one reason why I wanted the center link so much, is because I think it'll be quick and easy to build everything off of this instead of going like to a machine shop. Okay, so This is where the tapered end goes. This is the S10, stock S10. This is the 3/4 ton center link. And this is where there was a stabilizer. But I don't need a steering stabilizer here because we're going to do hydro assist. I put a bolt in through there. I put a bolt in through here. And I actually cut this much out of the center. And then I did this, you know, as in you can see the gap there for both sides. So long story short, if you look at it, that's how much I cut out. That's probably 3.5 inches. I had to narrow this up. And I had extra pipe lying around and it fit here real good. I am using that to help line everything up as I weld it. And then you can see the bolt here. And what I did is I put spacers in there as well. Spacers that came on that first kit. You can see the spacer right there to help line everything up as I bolt it. And then I will weld this slowly so it doesn't cup or curve. And then slide this back and forth as I weld. And you can see those big gaps that I put in there because this is solid metal. And I did that so I could weld all the way across and put a good weld all over it. This I may slide over and then put additional weld around it over this joint. It all depends on where my hydro assist bracket fits and if that will work. But that's where I'm at right now. And I am doing a delete kit, AC delete kit, and it's pretty simple. It's just this pulley. If you want to look at that, the wedge, that's what's pretty distinct with everything else. It will bolt right there where the AC compressor used to be. But the power steering fill is in the way, which is fine because I'm going to be using a different setup. So I can remove that and throw that bolt away. But that just bolts in right there. The kit did come with 3 small bolts. It says if necessary, but I need the larger ones. So I don't even need that. I figured I would let you guys know things to watch out for, but it just bolts on right there, and then the serpentine belt will go over it when I'm ready, and there we go. Usually when you unhook these things, I think it's a federal law actually, you got to make sure that these things are empty. Mine was empty. I mean, I knew that before. My AC didn't work, and there was check the pressure. You can check pressure here, for example. This is like a fill valve. And it had nothing in it, so I knew that these rubber seals were bad. And oftentimes, a little rubber seal right there, those rubber seals go bad, and you don't need to replace everything. You just replace those seals, and then the compressor can build up pressure and everything works fine. But in this case, I'm not going to use AC at all, so I'll just tear it out. And I know I don't need to, because the compressor does free spin, but they're heavy and there's just extra weight, so I might as well take it out and create more room under the hood. Okay, this part of the steering build is a must watch. So let's get started on the idler arm. Okay, this is a 3/4 ton idler arm from a 2004 HD. This, oh, I need that bolt. I've been looking for that. Goes over here. This comes out of the S10, and there's just 2 little bolts right there, and they go through, I don't know, the frame. It's pretty small and narrow. You can look right here at this picture. There's 2 little holes, and they're oblonged. You'll see that, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. And that's what this is. So to fix all of the geometry, there's a bracket here from Off-Road Outfitters, I think is what they're called. Put their name on it. This is like $149. It's expensive, but it's a necessity. So this fits inside that bracket. Yeah, let's move this around. Fits inside the bracket like that. Goes right in. And bolts go through it. And then this goes on these 2 holes here. In the instructions, it says to put a screwdriver underneath of it and jam it up to the top of that oblonged, but I don't think I want to. This is why. Okay, so let's move these to the side. And this is a kit that most people do with S10s. But let me tell you something about the steering box, which I haven't heard anyone talk about. And this is some excellent information. Okay, so this steering box is from the 2004 HD. And it's basically the same size. They look almost identical. The only difference is these 3 bolts are in a totally different pattern. Okay, look at the pitman arm there. See the angle from this point to this point. See how much higher it is from that to that. That is a 3/4 ton pitman. And that angle is really important. So this one I bought from O'Reilly's. This is a 3/4 ton. Look how much bigger it is. There. It's huge. Same with the taper. That bolts directly to the steering box. So the threads there, I don't know if I can, oh no, I tightened that down. It has grooves, and then it has 4 like big lines where this goes in. And you can see on this line, this paint, you want that all good so it goes straight with the steering wheel. But it all fit in, everything, which was very surprising. So 3/4 ton pitman can bolt to an S10 box. But if you look at this angle here, I guess these are basically almost the same, or that one to that one. But I was looking at a 2000 and, I don't know what it was, 4 3/4 as well. I did 2000 and 2004. And the 2004 was a lot higher, is about this much higher from where that bolt was. And so you don't want that. You want like 99, 2000 range for 3/4 if you can use that pitman. So with all that said, this is the stock S10, and see how it isn't, I mean, I don't know, I'll have to measure it, but it looks like it's about an inch higher. This one is honestly about 2 inches higher. And so that oblonged over here, I'm going to lower it, and it should fit there. So I'm thinking that if it doesn't work, as in if my arm is the center link, this one right here that I'm welding on, if this is like at an angle, then what I will do is I will drill this out more down so the whole bracket comes down. Everything will line up. So with all of that said, let's walk over here. I believe the steering is going to work out well because, let me see if I can set the light up. The center link is going to come out. Let me lift that up. So I think it's all going to work out well because the center link pops out about here. And because the pitman drops down, it'll drop down more. And where that comes across to the tie rod to the tire is going to be more of a straight shot. So hoping that my bump steer issue that I think I'm going to have is going to be minimized by dropping that down just a little bit more. So let's get her put back in or built up, and we'll see how she looks. And then just a side note. This is the steering here. There's a bolt that goes right through there. Take that bolt completely out so the gearbox can fall out. Okay, let me talk about this PSE steering gearbox. This is the same one that is used for the Cherokee or Wrangler, as well as the S10. A lot of them are the same. In other words, like the transfer case and things like that, which is kind of interesting how a Jeep and Cherokee share so many parts. But this one with the PSC, they're casting, everything's just a little bit bigger. I mean, you can kind of see on that 3/4 ton is a little bit bigger, the S10. And this PSC, man, it looks almost about the same. If I mic'd it, I could really tell, but they beef these up so that they can handle everything, and as in all the stresses. And this is actually a 4-bolt
I don't know if it really matters. You can see the 3 here. 1, 2, 3. The only thing that I am worrying about is this little nub right there. See, I wonder if that gets in the way. But all of these line up. I've already checked that. And here's the teeth I was talking about. It only go on, I guess you'd say 4 different ways. You can see the big groove there, the big groove there. But when everything's lined up, as in this line here, then you want it straight out, and that'll be center of the wheel. It's not the most symmetrical, but it's the best I got. There's the 3/4 ton center link. I cut and welded it. 3/4 ton pitman and idler arms. I did buy this bracket. I think it's for a ZR2 that has the 3/4 ton idler arm assembly. But the bolts are like right here for the this S10, but the holes are over here. So long story short, I'm gonna have to weld this thing in. Oh well, I think that bit might be better than bolts. This is a 3/4 ton pitman arm, which bolts in and looks real nice. I racked it back and forth. And when it comes to about here. It actually rotates to about here, and then the other side rotates over as well. So I think it's going to work really well. It's down more than I thought it would be, which is good actually. And then that's moved forward for the whole suspension that's moved forward. But that's the way she looks. And then here's the I'm going to do a double shear post right here to make that stronger. So I'm putting my diff up in there, and I realize there's a huge problem, meaning the crossmember bar rubs against the diff housing, and I still have, you know, an inch to go when I go back and forth. So I might have to re-weld up this center link and take that diff and drop it an inch. So I have to cut those bolts, or just that piece, and bring it down and bring that other side down as well. But it's gonna have to drop, and then hopefully I can get the ram in there too. Well, I hope you're still my friend after this one. Because my center link was so low and hitting the diff, I'm cutting the crap out of the pitman arm and the whatever idler arm I'll have to cut. But if you look here, what I did is I cut it, and then flipped it. In other words, when you look at this one was more drastic, but you can get the idea. I cut there, flip the center link, and it's able to be a straight line. And then I welded it. So I took these pieces and I stuck it to the center here, and then centered it here to make sure it's measured from top to bottom, make sure it was good, and then also lined it up here to make sure it all matches. And then the third reference point is the front of this landing about here on there. And when you look at the stock one, that's basically it. You can see the center link, center there, and you know how much elevation actually is. There's the top of that bolt, and that's what I did here, the top of that nut, top there. So this will raise up my center arm where I need it, and then what I'll do is when I go down here, I will cut the that idler arm right there, and I will bolt it to that center link, brace it up, and then I'll re-weld that onto itself, and then that's how I'm going to center everything. Okay, so I have the ram in. You can see the lines plumbed in there. So that big hollow spot is actually just perfect for the hydraulic steering or hydro assist. It's all the way to driver's side, so that's why this knuckle here is so far in. Otherwise it's out about this far. So anyways, I am building now
the support that's going to attach to there and here. This is the stock one for the 2004 HD 3/4 ton. And I was going to, I don't know, I just kept it just because it's good to keep some things around. And there's the rubber bushing here. These also have, looks like there's a rubber inserts here, but because it's aluminum, there's no way to really weld it. And actually a good thing, I kept the S10 Blazer diff support. And what works out great is these holes line up exactly with that. So what I'll do is I'll buy some bolts for that. There's rubber bushings here to help with the vibration, but I have to cut these and then build it. So it's going to spin like this. I'm probably going to invert these up. Well, one will be up, one will be down, because, you know, one will go down there and then one will go up in here, and then I'll weld on brackets, and there'll be a bolt there and a bolt right there across. So that's how I'll support this. I am moving along. Let me show you the pulley system on this new power steering pump is the PSC, and if you could throw this on here, it's actually smaller than the stock version. Let me spin it. You can kind of get an idea. See how much smaller that is? That equaled out to be about a 2-inch gap on the Serpentine belt, so I had to buy a brand new one. And I took the old one in, and when I say gap, right here, there's about 2 inches out this far is where it sat. So I got it shorter, which was 2 sizes smaller, and it actually works out really well. PSC did shorten me 2 of these connections. Let me get down here. 2 of these connections right here, so I got to get 2 more, otherwise it would all be plumbed up. And the cooler will go right there on the front of the IFS, and then I'll route those up. But you can see here there's plenty of room, no gap, or no rubbing. When I go back and forth on it, it's no rubbing whatsoever, so it actually looks pretty secure. Okay, I do not like cold air intakes because they're pointless. What you do make horsepower from is like a K&N air filter. But because this box is so huge and I need to figure out a place to put this reservoir, I'm going to have to do a cold air intake because I need this real estate for the reservoir to be plumbed right here. Okay, next problem. My brake booster. This is the one I just bought. See how it's sticking up so high? It's angled on the back. And I looked back on the video and I saw it and I didn't realize it. Anyways, I got to rip that off. I got to take it back. If you look at this, there's no way the hood will shut. So it did bolt all the way up. It's just angled wrong. But I'm going to get a different one. It'll go down and everything will work out great. So that's where I'm at right now. I am bolting up the cage with the diff right now, as in for the final time, and then working everything back. So I'll do the A-arms, the suspension, and then I gotta re-weld the torsion bar bracket. See how it's just too close. It's hitting that bolt right there. I gotta, where this bracket is in the back, I gotta cut it out after I get everything in and those torsion bar keys in. Then I'll know exactly where to weld the back in for the final resting place for that as well. And then I'll bolt in all of the steering, and she'll be sitting up on all fours all by herself, first time in 2.5 years. Slowly but surely. So what do you think? I think that should work for now anyways. 1-inch bolt, which was recommended by Ballistic Fab. and then 1/4" steel around there, all welded up and painted, and those are ready to go. I noticed the first time I built my center link, it wasn't exactly straight. These weren't parallel, and it had a little bit of a curve. So what I did is I took it out and I cut it and re-welded it, and put it in this little bracket here, and I put that on as well and clamped it and welded it up, and it's actually 1,000 times better. I put these blocks of wood on either side and gapped them on both ends to make sure it was straight and all that, and it actually worked out really well. I had to cut these ends here because they actually kind of kicked up, and my diff is so close up underneath that it was hitting the diff on the driver's side. So I had to twist these, welded them, and then I put these little stabilizers here just because, you know, that's possible for a weak link and all that pressure. So I welded these 1/4" pieces here to stiffen that up. So pretty impressed. I think everything's going to work. Hopefully I can get the steering done today. Yeah, I really didn't think about taking the stress off the driver's side, but I got it in. I had to, let's see if I can focus. I had to trim or whatever, grind some there, but it works. This is the only spot you can put it. But I'm really excited about these. That's going to be good and strong. Anyways, here we go. Took me all day, holy crap. Okay, so right here you can see there and there where I had to grind just a little bit because that nut back there rubs it. But it is as close as to the pan as I can get it. Look at that little spot. And I mean, it arcs like a circle up and down, up and down. So it touches just right there. And as it goes up, it misses that actually right now about 3/16 of an inch. So hopefully I don't hit anything and this thing gets rammed up. But looking back, I should have dropped this thing down another 1/2 inch. It would have been a lot easier. But with that said, I am glad that I got it as low as I could. And it works. So, oh, and I had to trim a little bit there. It's all the way to the right, so you can kind of see where that's at. But I mean, my welds there are kind of crappy. Theoretically, I could have made that arm go a little bit higher, and that would have fixed these issues. But anyways, it works. This is the brake booster from the S10, and then this is from a Trailblazer, a newer one. I think that's like maybe a 2000 or 2004. But I think as long as it looks like this with the vacuum on it, they will work. If I look at the arm here, it's about the same length. Oops, sorry, I guess I should pull it out. They're about the same length, and I mean, these are they're probably the same length, but the 4-bolt pattern is the same. And then you have your vacuum port here, and this one has the vacuum port there. There was like a auxiliary vacuum port electric booster, I guess, on top of the booster. I think that was for the ABS system, but it has the same, everything looks the same all around. So I'll put this in and see if it works. But anyways, so I did swap out the brake booster at the local eye-pole, and as you can tell with here, it is flat, and here it's flat as well. It doesn't angle like the last one. And this one is a little bigger. It's I guess it's not as big as that other one, but pretty much if it has a 4-bolt and black and looks like this when I was eyeing everything, most likely can swap over. Just make sure you'll watch for that angle on the back piece, and you can upgrade your brake booster fairly easy. So I'm at the local eye pole, and this is one thing that I've noticed. This looks like a newer Blazer than my 97. This is off of a half-ton. This is your master brake cylinder, and if you see how tall this is, that I think is what the problem is. But this casting's the same as this Blazer, and so what I did is I took but this kind of looks bigger than this. I can't get a mic in here, but what I did notice is these black top reservoirs are the same, as in the height from here to here. It's just that the one off the Blazer is shorter. And so what I did is I grabbed the master cylinder from a half-ton, and then and this is one here that you can see, and pulled this top off, which is this one right here, and put the Blazer one on because it's shorter. That was the problem, is the hood was hitting this. So this is actually quite a bit smaller than the one I had previous, or the other two I had previous. And this one is the size that I had on the last one, and look how tall that is. Let's put these side by side. I mean, you can see how much taller that is. That's the reason why my hood wasn't shutting. But now this, I'm sure it'll have plenty of space to shut. So when you're changing out the master cylinder and brake booster, make sure you do this. Let's go home, see how it fits. I am home now with the two master cylinders. This is the one that I picked up from the eye pole. And I mean, when you look there with a 5, it's a little over 1.5 inches, so 1.6 actually. And then when you look at this, I mean, that gap there is almost 1/4 inch. And I mean, if we pull it all the way in, it is yeah, almost 0.4, so it's actually just smaller than 1/4 inch. But that gives you good information of why you would want to change your master cylinder. And I mean, you can see the eye pole, it's where I pulled it myself, and this is the existing S10 reservoir. So as long as you get with the same style of apparatus there, then it'll work. So, and I am pretty positive this will fit under the hood just fine. Now let's go see how it works. Alright, as it sits there, it actually looks good. Let's shut the hood and see if we can shut it. So in my mind, I was trying to make like more air coming through the box. They have like a little hole like this, so I was cutting it open, and I started hacking this away, trying to figure out where I could plumb the reservoir for the power steering. And I ended up saying, you know what, I just need to get rid of this box and do some type of cold air intake. So I do have a K&N air filter, and I love them. You just oil them and you can wash them, and they provide a lot more airflow, but I don't think as much protection if you did like a paper one, but they do great for performance. So this is what I found out. Right there in that groove, see the groove there? That's where it goes, as in the tube from here on out. It is 3.5 inches is the gap. Right here is your mass airflow sensor, so you need these plugs right here. I was looking at cold air intakes, and they run around, I think, $200 to $250. The local parts store had a universal one for $250, and I'm like, why don't I just try to keep this set up and just stick a filter on it? And so that's where this come in. This is a Spectre, I guess if I'm pronouncing that right. It's like a K&N air filter. You have a charging and cleaning, oil and cleaning that you spray on it. This comes pre-oiled, like what it says right there. So it does not need to do all that. So what I did is I took, and I like them, as in they're sexy with the chrome. I mean, that has to be worth at least a couple more horsepower. And what I ended up doing is, this is the top of the air box, and when I went to the store, I tried to find something, like many stores, I even went to a Home Depot. What's nice about this filter is, see this line right here? You can actually make it go from a 4-inch to a 3-inch intake. And all you have to do is take these inserts and pull them out. So this is the insert that necks down from 3.5 to 3-inch, and they make 3-inch, I guess you'd say, couplers and 4-inch couplers, but no 3.5. And so I was like, oh crap. I went to other stores trying to find 3.5. I could find 4s and smaller, but no 3.5. So what I decided to do is I took a grinder and I cut this off. This is this part right here. See that? That actually went right there. And I'm trying to be careful with it. Like if you look inside right here, you can see how there's that gap is kind of tight against the rubber. And then when you swing over, you can see a bigger gap right there. That is because when you cut on here, you can get more area. And then when this comes up, it becomes a little bit less area. But I hope that it'll all, like there's still enough area to hold, because this stuff is like pretty grippy, this rubber on it. So you find that little groove, if I can point to it right there with my bottom finger, and that goes on that groove, and you just shove it on here. So this is my DIY cold air intake, and I may need to trim. Yeah, I'm gonna have to trim that piece of rubber right there, because it's gonna it's holding this back. So I'm gonna trim that, shove this all the way on, and there will be my cold air intake. I will probably have to build something on this bracket here to help support the weight of this, so it's not, you know, bouncing down the road like that, because I think it could create problems with the radiator hose when it's hooked up, things of that nature. But if I build like a little cantilever and strap it in zip tied or something, then that'll work great. But I think it looks sexy for, you know, all the red and everything. Okay, so does it look any different? Well, no blocks. It is riding on the tire. I didn't put the other tire on because I was so excited I wanted to show you. But the camber's in just a little bit. I got to adjust that uniball there. And as the tire cycles up, it does go in. So as it sits now, I want it to have it up and down. But so I backed off the torsion bar key, those adjustable ones. I backed it off one, and I used the torsion bar unloading tool. So there's the red key there. Had those little notches. I backed it off just one and welded it up. So it's all, that's ride height. That's pretty sick. Look at that ground clearance. That is insane. So tomorrow I'm going to put that other tire on, hopefully try to move this out of the way so I can clean everything up and finish up the video, the next video. I do not know who is happier, my wife for getting a clean garage or myself for being on all fours. I have waited so long for this, but she is up on her own weight. It can travel about another 1.5 inches down before it stops. And I did the steering. This is interesting right here. Oh, I got me back up. This is a S10 tie rod, and the top is a 3/4 ton heavy duty tie rod. Look how much thicker the S10 tie rod is. Maybe this link here is the weak point, but these are notorious for bending. mean, if you see the tapered joint there, it's so much larger, but the main one is so much smaller. So if you look at the upgrade, that's what I upgraded it to. That's quite a bit of an upgrade. Okay, so it is up, and let's walk through. I put in my Optima battery, and I put in the a 3-core radiator I got from eBay. Hopefully it still works good. I still need to wire it though. Supposedly if I get the wiring harness off of a electric fan setup that has the 411 PCM, I can just rewire it and the computer will do it all. So that's what I will do in the future. But look at the stance. Let me get a good view for you. How much wider it is. It's actually 20 inches from the very top there. Ground clearance. And I haven't checked the width yet, which I will. Okay, outside is 88 inches. Quite a bit larger than what it used to be, so it should be quite stable. So hooking up the PSC RAM, need to talk a little bit about that. When I first measured for the RAM and bought the RAM, I had the stock S10 Pitman arm, which is right there, and idler arm, or Pitman and idler. And when I put on the 3/4 inch, or not 3/4 inch, 3/4 Pitmans, it gained me, like I was turning from side to side 5 3/4 of an inch movement. Well, when I put the larger Pitman arms on, it went to 6.5. So I gained 3/4 of an inch, which meant the RAM I had to rip out and put a new one in, because I did buy a 6-inch RAM. Now I got a 6 3/4 inch RAM, so I had to take that off and put a new one in. So if anyone needs a RAM, I have one for sale. Okay, as we go back, there's our keys with our torsion bars, and the torsion bar clears, I don't know if you can see everything, clears the frame right there. It has about a good 1/8 of an inch full extension gap, and then it moves this way as it twists, because when it goes up it twists. And those are all in place. Brake calipers, the brake lines, I need to do new brake lines. And then let's back up. Okay, so here is the stock torsion bar key, and what I bought is these Max suspension, and what they have is they have a little, I don't know if you can see it in there, it's like a silver key. I guess you really can't see it, but it's a little cog that fits inside here, and you pick it up and twist it, and it changes this direction. But every little cog it twists, you look at that point right there, and it moves about 1/4 of an inch. And so it's twisting the torsion bar, you know, either if you want to higher or lower, based on where this set screw is. And so I bought these just in case, and good thing I did, because I actually had to back it off one cog and for this to set up. So when I lowered the jack, the whole thing set down 1 inch. So I have some play. If I want, I can loosen this up and make it softer, or I can keep it this way, which I don't want to go any harder than that, or stiffer than that in the suspension. So that makes easy adjustment, which would be very nice. I also put in, I heard that you had to do a spark, what do they call it, a spark, whatever, protector, and that's what this is. See the netting in there. Since I don't have a muffler, I just have my cherry bomb. This will help protect from any grass fires or whatever. So I welded that in right there. So I'm gonna have to take this off because I did get my new Atlas transfer case, and I'll be putting that in the next video. But I think I am done with this video, and I will post it up. It's gonna be pretty long. I hope that you guys comment on it and like it. But look at that. Hides the torsion bars. It's nice and flat belly. I can put my stainless underneath for a skid plate. And the only thing I need to worry about is that I might have to put some more protection under there, some sliders. But being that it's round, it's going to be a lot harder to do so. But that is it. Thanks for watching. And oh, I guess I'll show you one more view. So if you look here, the rear tire sticking in a little bit more. It actually is going to be going out about another 1.5 inches because the spacers had a standard thread pattern, but these threads are they called metric on the Chevrolet. So we got to get different studs in those wheel spacers, but I'll get that fixed by next time. But let's get a good panoramic view. I think she's setting up real nice, looking real sexy. I'm going to take her to a car show in a couple weeks and let her sit and be part of the unfinished projects. And well, that's where I'm at. Thanks for watching. And sorry this video took so long. I know I've had a lot of people ask about it, but it took a lot of time to get everything to come into place. But we'll see you later. See you on the trail.